Very good evening. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. There has been harsh criticism and even a threat of court action over plans to introduce fingerprinting at the ports of entry. However, Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite says government will not be deterred from doing what's best for the country. The policy was to be introduced on April 1st but has been deferred. Mr. Brathwaite's comments came on the sidelines of a meeting on international standards on combating money laundering and the financing of terrorism and proliferation.
Such a database so that we're in a hazard-prone area. Chances are at some point in time we are going to have a bad event. That in fact that's another use of the information. So we'll see how it goes. But as I said, government policy isn't shaped by whether or not the opposition, the commission, or anyone wants to take us to court. We have to decide what's best for the government.
Barbadian diplomats in Brussels are reportedly safe. That's the word from Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator Maxine McLean. She told the 6th round of Caribbean-China consultations at the Hilton Hotel that she received word from the High Commissioner in the UK who assured her that the delegation in Brussels is okay. Her comments come in the wake of bombings which hit the capital of Belgium today at the airport and metro system, killing 30 people, leaving about 230 others wounded. 2 blasts tore through the departure hall of the Zaventem airport shortly after 8 a.m. local time. The details in the CNN report.
The terror beginning inside this airport, 2 explosions, at least one at the hands of a suicide bomber. Investigators now looking into the possibility that the other bomb may have been in a suitcase. Travelers fleeing in chaos, at least 14 people killed here, according to Belgian media. An hour later and a few miles away, another explosion, this inside a busy metro. This video taken moments after that blast. At least 20 people killed at this location. All public transportation in the city now paralyzed. Belgian police are now conducting raids looking for anyone who may have been linked to the deadly explosion.
And we'll hear more about those bombings in Belgium later in the international segment. Meanwhile, back here at the Barbados-China meeting, Minister McLean told China Barbados and the region remain focused on addressing the burning issue of climate change. And she's made clear that Caribbean countries are serious about implementing internationally agreed commitments at a national level and wants China to follow suit. She delivered this message on behalf of the region, which was translated for the Chinese delegation in attendance.
We are both concerned about the Sustainable Development Agenda. As small island developing states, SIDS, the Caribbean side is only too aware of the effects of climate change, which negatively impact our national economies and threaten our very physical existence. The area of climate change adaptation and mitigation is certainly a priority issue for consideration in our cooperation with China.
In response, China's Vice Foreign Minister Wang Chao acknowledged climate change is a major issue threatening the lives of Caribbean people. He says that's why it's so important to strengthen cooperation to address this and other issues facing China and the region.
Now it is all the more important for China and Caribbean countries to step up cooperation. China is deepening reform and opening up and promoting economic restructuring. As Foreign Minister McLean mentioned, China has now entered a new normal of economic development. On the side of Caribbean countries are advancing their own economic development and rolling out new economic plans for further growth. Building synergy between our 2 sides is very important for strengthening our cooperation.
Workers of the Barbados Water Authority remained off the job another day, even after a meeting between the Barbados Workers Union and Minister of Labour, Senator Dr. Esther Bayer-Suku. General Secretary of the BWU, Tony Moore, who arrived at the meeting in Parliament this morning with a small contingent of BWA workers, says nothing was decided and the purpose of the meeting was simply to share their concerns with the minister. According to Ms. Moore, the minister was also to engage with BWA's management this afternoon, which should have led to confirmation of a date for a joint meeting with both the BWA and the BWU. She suggested that today's meeting was quite straightforward.
What we have done, therefore, for the last few minutes in that meeting was to clearly articulate this union's position reiterating that while the subject of discussion over a 10-year period has been about increments, the action taken by the Executive Council of the Barbados Workers Union relates less to increments and more to the issue of disrespect by the Barbados Water Authority and its continued insistence on dishonoring agreements which it has made over time.
The strike began last week Wednesday after a breakdown in talks between the union and the BWA's management. This was regarding increments supposedly owed to workers over the period of a decade. Ms. Moore says as far as she is concerned, the situation hasn't changed.
There's no basis to stop the action up to now. The minister has merely spoken to the Barbados Workers Union, so the action continues.
The impact of the global economy on Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean region will come under the microscope later this evening. That's when the Central Bank of Barbados will host the 3rd Caribbean Economic Forum at the Grand Salle of the Central Bank. Dr. Simon Johnson, Senior Fellow of the Peterson Institute, is this year's featured speaker. Well, Ryan Broom is presently live at the Grand Salle with a preview of tonight's event. Ryan?
Good evening, Lisa. We are here at the Grand Salle of the Central Bank of Barbados for the 3rd Caribbean Economic Forum with distinguished visiting fellow Dr. Simon Johnson, Senior Fellow of the Peterson Institute and Professor of Entrepreneurship at MIT in the United States. Now, a few of the key areas that will be addressed during tonight's forum will include possible growth sectors for economies like ours, entrepreneurship, and the future of digital money. On the subject of digital money, Dr. Johnson has spent the last 3 weeks encouraging Barbadians to prepare for the inevitability of digital currencies. He says that very shortly, most of us will be paying for goods and services using an app on our phones or some other electronic device. He also says that blockchain technology to facilitate the digital currency is very much available and in use in some countries. Now, in preparation for this new wave, he says that the private sector and the central bank should be looking at creating a Barbados digital dollar, as such a development would leapfrog us to a leadership position on the world stage, provide vast job opportunities in technology, and enhance our economic fortunes. We already have Bitcoin in Barbados, which is one form of digital money. So I encourage you to stay tuned to CBC to hear more about how digital currencies may very well replace the cash in your pocket. But now, to give us a perspective on why a forum such as this is so important at this time, I have with me the Central Bank's Public Affairs Officer, Noveline Brewster. Noveline.
Good evening, Ryan, and indeed, good evening to all our viewers. The Distinguished Visiting Fellowship Program is one of the Central Bank of Barbados' flagship programs, and we see it is very significant because it puts people like you and me and indeed the entire country in connect them rather with some global intellectual powerhouses. And those of us who've been privileged to hear Professor Johnston over the past 3 weeks are in no doubt about that. And the viewers tonight of the forum, I'm sure at the end they'll share a similar perspective. As he rightly said, he spent a lot of time talking about the emergence of digital currency, and that in a few years' time, not in the distant future, many of us will be paying for our transactions using a device like this, not necessarily a phone, but some sort of device like this. I feel a bit like a dinosaur already because I am very much in love with the feel of paper, so I'll begin to adapt nevertheless. So I want to encourage all of you to join us at 8:05 tonight. You can follow, as you rightly said, on your local station, on this station and others, as well as on the Central Bank of Barbados' website.
Thank you, Noveline. So at 8:05 p.m. on this station and others across the region, Dr. Johnson and veteran regional journalist Junior Rogers will chat about what's next for the global economy. To participate in the forum, you may email your questions to questions@centralbank.org.bb or call us at 227-8302. If you wish to join the online chat, you may also do so at #Caribbean Economic Forum. We'll be going live just after the lottery, so stay tuned. Lisa?
Thanks, Ryan. Well, coming up after the break, Barbados encouraged to fully use the island's capacity to generate renewable energy. Stay with us.
Community Files.
The Barbados Museum and Historical Society, in collaboration with the University of the West Indies Department of History and Philosophy and the National Cultural Foundation, presents a series of free lectures under the theme Becoming Bajan, the Evolution of Barbadian Identity. They take place at the Queen's Park Steel Shed in the city every Tuesday night until April 26, beginning at 7 p.m. each night. Join them on March 22nd when Professor Pedro Welch examines the topic, The Making of Bimshire or Little England, Perceptions of Special Status in the Colonial Hierarchy or Framework. On March 29th, Dr. Carl Watson will present The Mother Colony, Barbados in the Colonial World. All are invited.
Coming this Friday on TV8.
Chantel the Concert, featuring Chantel Martin, plus performances by the Clarion Singers, the Myriad Singers, the Police Band, Claudia Holloway, Gay Gajada and Stephen Brathwaite. Your MC is Vic Fernandez.
Countdown to 50.
Hi, my name is Karen Bess. I'm the owner of Pretty Girls Hair Salon. There are now 253 days left until Barbados' 50th anniversary of independence, and I'm surely looking forward for that big day.
Countdown to 50.
Independent Senator Dr. Sir Trevor Carmichael says there's evidence Barbados can produce all the energy it needs from the sun and wind, but he says public awareness will be critical to getting Barbadians to buy into renewable energy.
In this regard, I suggest we should give full support to organizations such as the BREA, the Barbados Renewable Energy Association, its president, Mr. Aidan Rogers and Mr. Clyde Griffith. I'm not sure who was president or who was not, but I know they're leaders in that organization. I know them both. And they've been involved in what I would say is unselfish work, seeking to promote the best, which is in the national interest.
And that debate on the estimates of expenditure continued in the Upper House of Parliament today. We heard that government is working to protect the pensions of staff of the Barbados Water Authority. Senator Jepter Ince says when the current Democratic Labour Party administration came into office, it found the BWA's pension plan was not paid up.
Some of Water Authority workers are going home dependent on a national insurance pension when the Barbados Labour Party, who collected $10.8 billion in revenue. And when you look at the revenue collected, they could have easily paid into the pension fund for the Water Authority workers. They could have made mention of that. But no, instead of doing that, when you look at 2005, the liability, Madam President, of the pension fund was $40.5 million. The liability of the pension fund, not a penny paid into the pension fund, not a penny.
In his contribution, Independent Senator Sir Henry Fraser weighed in on the debate surrounding the $7 million budgeted for independence celebrations. Sir Henry, a member of the 50th Anniversary Committee, hasn't seen the budget allocation, but he says restoring and revitalizing some of the island's historic sites should be included in the activities.
But I would say right up front, I am not a believer in fireworks. I believe fireworks is money going up in smoke. But I think there are many other things that celebrations are hugely important and hugely valuable. And I have total confidence in the integrity and the good sense of our Prime Minister. And I am sure that he will make every effort that at the end of our celebrations, we have tangible evidence of that celebration.
Meanwhile, Government Senator Reginald Hunt says Barbados is celebrating a landmark occasion and doesn't understand why some people are upset about the $7 million allocated for it.
Speech is made at some political meeting. We could take that and fix a road. Could have take that and get to poor people. That is the kind of attitude that we have coming from people that want to lead this country. rather than instilling into people and educating them, our young people, the importance of a national day, as is referred to in the United States of America, we tend to confuse their head. And to show the division and the attitude to independence since 1966. Some people don't even want to stand and respect the national anthem.
In other news now, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has 2 more ultrasound machines thanks to a musical charity. The Excelsior Singers of Barbados said they decided on the donation after contemplating the financial constraints of the hospital. After affirming the group was very happy to help, President Anthony Griffin stressed the importance of taking care of one's health. In the past, the charity has donated to the St. Philip District Hospital, the Psychiatric Hospital, and some children's homes. A representative of the QEH assured the singers the machines would be put to good use. Organizers of a developmental program believe they have the winning formula for preparing secondary school students for the world of work, and the students who graduated the Preparing Today for Tomorrow's Challenges program agree.
It was an emotional ceremony for the 19 students who completed the program organized by Ellerslie Secondary and the UWI Open Campus.
I would like to extend sincere thanks to the principal of the Ellerslie Secondary School, Major Errol Brathwaite, for giving us, the students, a second chance. Sir, we thank you.
Coordinator Faith Richards says the initiative is designed to prepare students for life after school, and she encourages the Ministry of Education to introduce a similar program in other secondary schools.
We are cognizant that today's youth, while possessing some academic qualification, lack the necessary social skills needed to function in the working environment and at the tertiary level.
Through workshops, lectures, and practical exercises, students were given lessons in presentation, effective communication, dealing with difficult people, etiquette, resume preparation, and the interview process.
The Open Campus programs has impacted me on so many levels. It has taught me, 1, how to present myself properly, 2, how to communicate effectively, which I am still working on, 3, how to deal with difficult people.
This program has helped me in more than one way. When it first started, I would shy away from anything involving the interaction with people. But from participating in different activities, my confidence level has improved a great deal.
And principal of the Ellerslie School says with the help of the Open Campus, the program is set to expand its topics to provide an even more comprehensive experience.
Our feet are now wet. Our swimsuits are on, and we're ready to take the plunge.
Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UWI Open Campus, Dr. Luz Longsworth, says she's impressed by the changes in the participants, and the coordinator agrees that such a program should continue.
Our children need opportunities such as these, since the home is no longer the training ground for etiquette and deportment that it once was.
The most outstanding student was Jasmine Rowe, while the most improved was Brianne Nanton. Denise Blackman, CBC News.
Congratulations to all of the students. Codrington College has big plans to cash in on the visitor numbers to the historic St. John property. Among the ideas is a nature trail, as we hear from Kishmar Singist.
Students from the Barbados Youth Service were hard at work lending a helping hand to Codrington College. They managed to clear an area of overgrown bush and trees. That spot was brightened as a result. The work has been welcomed by students and principal of the Codrington College. The work, according to Program Officer with the Barbados Youth Service, Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite, formed part of the students' coursework. Giving back was necessary for them to be considered for a job attachment.
We chose to partner with Codrington College. Actually, we partnered with them last year in their environmental developmental program for the college. We have about 30 students here today.
Neblett-Brathwaite says the youth service has been working with both the public and private sector for job attachments.
We work with the public and private sector. We work with Transport Board, we work with National Assistance Board at times, we work with hotels, we work with individuals. We usually place the students where their skills, where they can help the organization. We usually partner with agencies that have the patience actually to work with our students. And we've been getting great reviews thus far.
For student Chanel Smith, He was pleased to lend a helping hand.
Yeah, we have put college hours to give back to people, to help people like clean up, so that no matter how I ask anybody, like instead of paying people or anything, we give back to the community.
Smith has given the youth service top marks.
Yeah, youth service is a good place because it's out here when you make a mistake in secondary school, you get to get a second chance. It's not only about it ain't for bad people, it's for good people too. It help you learn better and you learn from your mistakes and get more discipline.
Principal of Codgerton College, Reverend Dr. Michael Clark, welcomed the partnership with the Barbados Youth Service.
Mere fact that the young people are willing to identify Codgerton College as a venue for their work, we're very thankful about that. Now, but the other side of it is that one of the things that we are exploring, and we are yet to speak with the powers that be, is how can Codgerton College give back to these young people. We oftentimes, take the services of our young people when they come either scouts or cadets and do these little jobs for us. But sometimes the society needs to give some thought to how do we help these young people to develop.
Job well done, guys and girls. Kishmar Senjis, CBC News.
Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, here is a tip from Coverley.
Heart disease.